Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I'm a big bull on the electric vehicle revolution, but I'm also a realistic bull in that I see that there are some issues regarding the adoption of this in a big way in North America and in Europe. And I strongly believe that there's going to be a transition period between the move from internal combustion engines, gas vehicles, to electric vehicles. And in that transition, I believe that hydrogen vehicles will play an important role. And that's the gist or the overview of why I've invited Francois Morin who is with First Hydrogen Corp, on to talk about his company today. Francois, thank you very much for joining me.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
So I kind of gave an overview there. What do you think of that overview?
Well, I think it's bang on. I think if we're looking at the transportation sector, there is the electric vehicles on one side, and then more and more we see some alternatives which are complementary of reducing the gas emission. The transport sector, as we all know, is a big emitter of gas, and we need to find ways to actually reduce the emissions. Where transport sector is up to 25% of the overall emissions, so there's a lot of work to do. We've started with the EV, electric vehicles, in different segment of the transportation, and the passenger vehicle, the electric vehicles, the BEVs, are bang on as far as the batteries are actually fit for this kind of market. In other markets, then the electric vehicles and the batteries itself has more challenges to reach the different. Sorry?
Thanks for bringing that up, because that's something I wanted to talk about. First, the challenges of electric vehicles, and then we can talk about First Hydrogen and what you guys are doing. Some of the big hurdles or challenges in front of electric vehicles are one, especially when it comes to North America and Europe, is the cost. They're very high cost vehicles, so I think that's an adoption issue. From the functionality, you've got issues relating to operating in high temperature, cold and environments that affect the functionality, if you will. Plus, you have the issue that in Europe and in North America, you have very old power grids that need upgrading. And to do all of that is going to require a lot of copper. And there is a looming shortage of copper that I think could also affect the adaptation of electric vehicles. And so those are some of the issues that I wanted to talk to you about, and then we can get into what makes First Hydrogen different.
Well, I think your perspective on the challenges and hurdles are bang on regarding the electricity availability. The grid is one you've mentioned, and you need to understand that worldwide also there's 1 billion people that have very little access to electricity by the grid. So for them, recharging a vehicle is not even thinkable. So we need to find alternatives. Something you mentioned is obviously the cost. I think the TCO, the total cost of ownership, we need to reduce that cost, and this is what we're working on, but it's still higher than diesel. and this is what we try to get to par with diesel at least, and even go cheaper than that. The availability, something you didn't mention, the availability of the resources, mining, lithium, for instance, which is a component of the battery, is a rare material on Earth. So it is very expensive. It pollutes when you extract
Well,
it.
the rare part is finding it in concentrations that can be mined. If
That's it.
there is lithium in a lot of places, but getting it out of the ground and into a battery is finding it in mineable situations is
Uh,
difficult. And
very,
copper is a big one too, that
I agree.
people think understand how there is supply crunches coming for copper that nobody understands.
Yeah, so to be on the electric vehicle side, to access to recharge those batteries, we need to upgrade the grid, like you mentioned. This is massive, requires massive investments, and some even places is not even feasible. So there is limitation to the electric vehicle, and something that we could talk about also is the autonomy of the vehicle. Once you have charged your battery, you're limited before you have to recharge. So people in the transportation sector are looking at autonomy. How far can I go with one charge before I have to recharge? So that's something you got to take into account. And the second one also is the time to recharge. Let's say you're a trucker, you deliver goods on the from point A to point B, and it takes you 6 hours to recharge your battery after 4 hours of traveling. The business model just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah,
So
this brings up a topic. One of my very good friends from high school is a pretty serious environmentalist. And I would often say something to him that he never really had an answer to. And I said to him, yeah, everybody's an environmentalist or worried about the environment until one of two things happen. It either costs them more money or it inconveniences them.
yeah.
And that's a kind of a fundamental thing with electric vehicles. They're very expensive in North America and Europe, and they're inconvenient in that what you were talking about regarding the charging time.
And I could add up a few more items, like for instance, the light duty trucks which carry goods in the back of their trucks. So the battery stack, where this is where the battery is actually laying on under the on the floor of the vehicles, takes so much space that they reduce what we call the cargo space, where you put the goods. So now you're even limited in the space that you could actually carry, and as you know, you're paid by the amount of what you could carry around. And if the battery is reducing that amount of space, then you're reducing the amount of money you could charge as a trucker. So these inconvenience irritants, could we say, is where an hydrogen might come in as a complementary to the electric vehicle purpose, and how we could actually reach the needs to those that are looking for transport as a business.
And that's where the first hydrogen story comes in, because that's, you guys are, you actually have working models of your vehicles that use hydrogen for, specifically for delivery of stuff. Let's get into the first hydrogen story now. Why don't you give us a sort of a big
Uh,
picture
well,
story?
First Hydrogen is a company that a Canadian company based in Vancouver. It has offices, like I mentioned, in Vancouver, Montreal, and in London, UK, where basically the center of research for the fuel cell, which is the hydrogen engine. It's a fuel cell electric vehicle. is being researched and developed in the UK. So we have built, using fuel cells, we have built vehicles that are now being on-road testing with companies that are parcel delivery companies, utilities companies, which we are gathering right now. Those trials are happening as we speak. And so far, they have been very, very, very positive. We have reached with one tank of hydrogen, with one tank, refueling one tank, we have reached over 600 kilometers for one tank, which is great. It takes a few minutes to fill that tank like you do with diesel or any fuel that you can use to refill your car. So it takes minutes. And so right now, all of the on-road testing with companies such as Wells and West, Riven, big companies in the parcel delivery. We even have one right now, and I can't mention the name, but you could think that it's one of the biggest parcel delivery company in the world. Uh, we are actually in trial in the UK right now with them, and it's going very, very, very well. So people, it's a testing business. You need, as you go to your dealers to buy a car, you want to test it. I want to test drive that thing, go around. Well, it's the same thing for us. People, once they try it, wow, it goes as well as my, diesel van. It's the same kind of approach. So it is a untesting business right now, and this is where we're at. First Hydrogen has been on road testing for almost a year now, and we have reached. We're the company in the world that have reached the most mileage with our prototypes than any other companies in that field. First in the hydrogen field, the transportation field, that any other companies in the world. So what we're doing right now is we're gathering very valuable data with those trials, which is going to be used to improve the next generation that we're already working on, which will be more autonomous, lighter, and more robust. So we're looking at the prototypes that we have built are what we call LCVs, light commercial vehicles. These are the company Amazon. They use sprinters, Mercedes sprinters. You see those vans that carry the parcels all around. Well, this is what we've built. This is the same kind of vans that we're using right now for our road testing. And so this is the model, but as we go along, we will expand those models. This is a class 2B. We will look at class 3, class 4, and class 5, which are the models being used in that segment of the market that we want to target at First Hydrogen.
And as I was doing my homework on First Hydrogen, I saw a video of your vehicles in action, and that was quite impressive. And I saw some important data that you touched on, which is the 400 miles of between charges, the low, you don't need the kind of weight that you do in an electric vehicle. And in your demonstration, I even noticed that Anglo American, a mining company, was present at that, as well as some of the people from Ballard Power. And you are working with Ballard Power, and you have some of their key people on your board of directors that have experience with this. So that was quite impressive information for me about how First Hydrogen.
Well, thanks for that. And we are very so the transportation sector, as we all know, is owned by big what we call OEMs, the Ford, GMs, Volkswagen, and so forth. And as we are entering this market, we need to make sure that we have the best skilled team and the best companies, partners, to work on the supply chain, the partnership, and also to work with us on developing the best product, because we don't have much leg room, I should say, as we try to enter this market, which is, very protected by the big companies already existing. So we had at First Hydrogen, we had to get those skills. We did. We had to get the best partners to work to build a world-class vehicle for our prototypes, which we have done. Also, we have created a business model for our customers as we're getting into the market. The business model is called Hydrogen as a Service. So what we're actually doing with fleet owners, like let's say Amazon, with fleet owners or operators, what First Hydrogen business model, the business relationship we're building with those potential customers is, we bring you the vans, we bring you the hydrogen, we bring you the service, the maintenance, the training, the insurance. So it's really a turnkey approach to make the adoption cycle faster, to reduce that adoption cycle with those customers that are still wondering if hydrogen is a good solution. So far, we have teamed up, let's say in the UK, we have teamed up with a mobile hydrogen refueling station. So we're not going to build and waste time building a huge refueling station, a huge infrastructure where you have every 50 miles or whatever, you have station where you could go, actually, like it is right now in the model that we see with the fuel refueling stations. Basically, what we do is we bring those mobile refueling stations to the parking lot of where those fleets are actually parking at night. So this is where they get refueled. These companies, like, let's say Amazon, is basically at night, all of the vans are parked in the same parking lot. You could get 1,000 of these vans parked in the parking lot. This is where they get refueled. So we bring the hydrogen to them with those. If you look in some of the videos we have on our website, you actually see these refueling station, these mobile refueling station, which makes it very convenient. You refuel when needed, and you don't have to worry, oh, how much I got left. You don't have to worry about this, because you know that when you park it at the end of the day, you can actually access to some refueling hydrogen. So, and you were talking about 400 miles per tank per refueling. So usually these parcel delivery companies do around 100 miles, 100 miles per day at the most. So with one tank, they could actually last 4 days, which is good. They don't have to refuel every night. So they could actually, let's say you're the owner of 1,000 vans, you could actually schedule these refueling in a more convenient way than you could do with electric vehicles, where basically you have to recharge them, all of them, the 1,000 overnight, which is not feasible. There is no electricity available in that capacity that allows you to recharge all these vans. So electric vehicles becomes a very, very complex recharging schedule at the logistic level, which you don't have with our hydrogen as a service, where we bring the mobile, which we call the HRS, which is hydrogen refueling station. So this is part of the package, the bundle of services.
What you're explaining there really hit home to me recently when when someone said, could you imagine if in California, for example, where they have grid problems, if all of a sudden, thousands or millions of people driving electric vehicles came home after work and they all plugged into the grid at the same time? You would have rolling blackouts. It is not feasible. The grid is too ancient. And so, what you're explaining there makes a lot of sense from a logistical perspective. But your business plan is also very interesting to me, because what this will, like, you use Amazon as an example. Amazon doesn't want to be automotive, they make their money on delivery. They don't make their money on building out an infrastructure to make those deliveries. And so you are the gateway for them. That business plan makes a lot of sense to me.
And you're right, and this is what we're trying to achieve with our hydrogen as a service. This business model for us is really important as we carry on the development of first hydrogen. This is something that we will pursue to develop and certainly crystallize with our customers. So, and something you mentioned also with for example, as an Amazon or any parcel delivery companies, big parcel companies, the more their business is based on volume, as we understand, but the more they deliver, the more they pollute. So they need to be part of the equation as decarbonizing, sorry, our economy. And therefore, they are looking strongly to find an alternative that makes sense to them so they could keep their volume of delivery, and that won't affect or wouldn't affect their business. So this is where
Their
hydrogen,
ESG.
yes. So
Yes.
yeah, so their targets is really important, really important for their shareholders. So this is where we come in and help them to support and sustain their business into their ESG's objectives.
So, I think you've done a wonderful job to give us an overview of some of the hurdles or in place for electric vehicles and the need. A friend of mine once told me, that a good business model is not to go after what people want, it's what they need. And you've definitely told us about the need and your way to meet that need for certain companies.
Yeah, it's more than it's fulfillment. You need to make sure that you fulfill their needs, and this comes with some certain complexity. But to do so, you really need to understand what are their challenges, and this is what we've been working with the fleet operators, the fleet owners, our tier one target, and we really understood what is were their needs, and this is how we fulfill with our solution to make sure that we comply to their needs.
So, what are some of the catalysts to your growth or milestones that are upcoming that those that are interested in first hydrogen can sort of keep their checklist of what to watch for?
Well, right now as I mentioned, we're based in UK. This is our center of excellence. The R&D is UK based. We have done some on-road testing there. It's going very, very well. We will keep doing those trials with big companies, and now we're moving into North America. Certainly North America, it's now very appealing to develop hydrogen here with the announcements of IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act by Joe Biden. They're in the States right now investing massive amount of money into what they call hydrogen hubs. They have identified 7 hydrogen hubs across the United States. So there is a will right now to develop hydrogen as a solution, as a sustainable solution in the different sectors, but certainly in the transportation. So for us, we've announced in December 2023 the launch of our North American Development Demonstrator Program. We are right now building those demonstrators, working with Ballard as a partner, as a privileged partner. So working with different partners to build a North American homologated vehicles that we will be starting at the end of the year to do some on-road testing as well. Like I mentioned, this is a business where you test it, you buy it. So this is the same model, development model we're putting in place here. It was a success in UK, so we're starting now to do the same thing here. But even more, as we're looking at the development of hydrogen infrastructures in the States and in Canada, we are looking to build a manufacturing plant in Shawinigan, Quebec, which is a province of Canada. And we are looking now, we're at the feasibility studies for that manufacturing plant where we will assemble those vehicles in Shawinigan for the North American market. So this is coming in 2026. So this is where actually we will really, our growth will pick up as we will be delivering around 2028 the vehicles for these fleet operators. We have already spoken with fleet operators in North America. They're all waiting to try. So there is a list, there's a log right now of these partners for the demonstrators program. We are obviously using what we've done in UK to bring that expertise here. So people actually saw, the success we have. The brand is doing very well. If you look at First Hydrogen, it's now a solid, robust brand in the hydrogen sector. So all of that comes together in now developing our North American program and building up that supply chain. Something that's really important for us is start to manufacture those vans and putting it out to the market. This is our go-to-market strategy, and it's coming very, very fast, and we're happy about it. A lot of exciting times for First Hydrogen.
So in a nutshell, you got lots of testing and demonstration to use and then ramp it up into more of a commercial endeavor.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that I think investors might want to be aware of, and you touched on that with the government support of this.
Yeah.
Just the other day, there was an announcement by a lithium company in America that got a $2.6 billion commitment by the US government to develop their lithium production and processing. And, so these are some potential significant milestones as you work towards commercializing what you're testing now.
Yeah.
And another thing that I don't think people really realize is that there is a massive amount of funding out there in ESG funds that are looking for homes in places like a First Hydrogen Corp. And so these are potential catalysts that, it's hard to quantify, but it certainly shows that there is this massive pool of money out there that is looking for homes that meet these requirements or goals of the future that could come into play for a First Hydrogen as well.
You're totally right. I think it's a team effort. You have the government, you have the investors, and you have the expert, and it's really now the time to get together and to create those opportunities. And we need the government support in different forms, grants, non-dilutive grants, investment. And I think right now the governments are showing up. We need to bring the cost of operation, and this won't be done without the different levels of government's help. And I think we're going to be able to achieve our objectives financially and make sure that we're part of the decarbonizing our society. So this is all what we're working on. We're looking for, and you've mentioned it, Allan. We're looking for a nice future for our kids, for our families, for our countries, and this is what we're all doing at First Hydrogen, and a lot of people. And so this is key to us, is protecting that future.
And I really think that what is not well understood is that not only is it the government getting behind this, it's these ESG funds that are sitting on trillions of dollars, and everybody thinks, oh yeah, well, I got an idea for them to spend money, to give us money to develop our technology, but having the actual in this case vehicles to demonstrate to them that we're not just the story, we're in advanced research and development that, you know, you can put your money into, because there's a reason why they're sitting on a big pool of capital, is because they need to, they're not having an easy time putting that out there into investments. And I think that that's a potential exciting possibility for a first hydrogen as
Yes, it
well.
is, and agree with you. And sometimes they have the will, they have the capital, but they just can't find a project that fits their objectives. And you need to look. You know, it does exist. We're there. We are looking for investors still. So we're open for business. And if there's any funds out there that would be would be interested to engage into a discussion with us, we'll be more than open to do so.
Well, I think we've had a very good introductory interview and sort of due diligence call for myself and my audience. Do you have some closing comments that you'd like to express, Francois?
Well, I think, it's really important that we look at the transport sector's alternatives. Right now, we're running on fuel, diesel, electricity is part of it, but we need to consider hydrogen as a major player into the transport sector. And this is what First Hydrogen is working to make happen and to do. And hopefully, we'll be able to grow our business. And like I said, we're open for business.
Why don't you close with the stock symbol and your website so people can check out the company and do more homework?
So we're at TSX, and it's FHYD, and our website is firsthydrogen.com. So it's fairly simple. You could Google research us, and we'll pop right out there, right on top of the others. And there is a lot of information on our website about what we're doing, where we're at, and by all means, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be more than happy to answer them.
How do they reach out to you, Francois?
Well, should I? I'm not sure, Alan. It's such a popular show. I'm not sure if I could give out my my email address. I'll get swamped.
Yeah,
But I'll give it
I
a
hope so.
I'll give it a try. So it's
All right.
Francois dot Morin at firsthydrogen.com. So it's a fairly simple, straightforward email. So and then please bear with me if I get swamped with millions of questions. It'll take me a few hours to answer them.
Well, thank you very much, Francois, and I look forward to doing this again with you guys, because as I started out the show, I think that this transition from internal combustion engines to the electric vehicles needs that transition. And they need alternatives in that transition, and hydrogen is a very interesting and compelling potential part of that transition.
That's well said, and I was very happy to be part of your show today.
Awesome. I'm going to close it off, and we can have a chat at the other end if you'd like, Francois.
Okay.
So there you go, folks. First Hydrogen is a very compelling story, and I'm really glad that I've been able to talk to the leadership and bring this story to my audience, because as I've said a couple times now, I think that this transition to the electric vehicle is creating opportunities. And First Hydrogen is moving into that space in a big way. They're not just, a white paper talking about what they might do. They're in the research and development where they're actually building vehicles. They're using those vehicles. They're demonstrating those vehicles. And I think that there's a very significant market out there for what they're doing. And I think that there's plenty of catalysts ahead for this company. So do your homework on the company. As always, my shows are for information purposes only. I'm not making buying or selling recommendations. I'm trying to be a source of ideas. And I think that First Hydrogen has a great idea and working on moving it forward. And I suggest you do your homework on the company and speak with your financial advisor before making any investment decision. On that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.